Yes, sure. I don't know what's going on. I do. You need to for sure. I just have something real. I mean, it was like bright and out of just breathing. Does everybody want a copy of the application? Yes. The Theology News article is being passed out if you'd like to take a copy, and this is the amazing reporter, Renee Rafferty, someone who covers LGBTQ issues all across the state of Washington.
Good evening, everyone, and thank you for coming. I'd like to say that, Rikkey Outumuro's tragic loss was too soon for all of us. We lost our beloved sister, friend, and a queen through a heinous act of senseless violence. Rikkey was loved by many people all around Olympia, Tacoma, and Lewis County. She performed as her drag persona, Tru Starlet, all over the South Sound, bringing joy to so many people. As Miss Gay Olympia, the LGBTQ plus Miss Gay Lewis County, she helped in many fundraisers for so many charities. Rikkey was known for caring so much and for having one of the biggest hearts of anyone I ever knew. She was friends with so many people and was recognized wherever she went. It was through her drag performances that I met Rikkey 13 years ago. She was always at every show, even when not performing, there to support her sister queens. I always enjoyed every chance I got to perform with her, and one of my favorite memories with Rikkey was at the Christmas parade about 5 years ago in downtown Olympia. We walked with Capital City Pride and handed out candy canes to the little kids watching. And it was such a special time. I'll always miss Rikkey, and I wish that she will be looking down from heaven, watching over all of us. Thank you.
Hi, folks. My name is Anna Schleck. I'm the former chair of Capital City Pride, which is a lot of how I worked with Rikkey. But I'm also a longtime family friend, having met her, like 35 years ago. And I just want to start by thanking people who traveled here from Grays Harbor County, from Lewis County, and from Thurston County. And to ask all of us to just take a moment and realize that we are community. We live in different places, but tragedies like this bring us together. I think that's really an important thing because I think many of us feel alone. It brings up a lot of tragedy that we've experienced of LGBTQ folks being beaten, harassed, murdered. Rikkey apparently is the second transgender woman to be murdered in Washington State. I believe the fourth in the Pacific Northwest. Fifth, thank you. And bad numbers sometimes. So I just wanted to give both a personal and also a pride perspective on how fabulous Rikkey was. Some of you who were at the Centralia gathering the other night, which was absolutely beautiful, and I want to thank you so much for inviting me down. I wasn't sure what to expect, but Because sometimes people that live in big cities like Olympia are fearful of smaller towns like Centralia, but it was the most loving, affirming gathering of people standing shoulder to shoulder in a COVID safe way, but shoulder to shoulder in support of their LGBTQ community. So I met Rikkey when she was a spunky little 8-year-old. She was best buddies with the daughter of my then girlfriend, Lisa Blazer. Lisa lived on the west side, and whenever I would spend the weekends with Lisa, the two kids, the two girls, would go scampering off to the West Side Food Co-op where there was a free box, and they'd be pulling clothes out. And I once followed them. I said, "What the heck are you kids doing?" And Rikkey turned to me, just beaming with that megawatt smile that she had even at age 8. I said, "We're playing dress up drag queen. We're going to do a show. Do you want to be in it?" And they would put on shows for people that were pulling into the parking lot who were like, they were good people, but they were like, "What the heck is going on here?" Okay, kids do drag shows at the Olympia Food Co-op. That's awesome. And she, even at age 8, was making the world safer for young people. No matter how you identify, whatever you think your sexual orientation is, one of the gifts our transgender sisters and brothers, and the non-gendered version of that, our transgendered family give to us is that you can be who you are. Bring it all on and be yourself authentically. That's an incredible gift. And it just beamed out of her smile like the sun back when she was 8. She was an amazing baby trans queen to be. I later got to know Rikkey a little bit more when I was working on Pride. We always had this parade that had a lot of moving parts. We had shows, we had fundraising events. And I remembered one of the first times I saw Rikkey perform was right across the street here at the old Urban Onion. And I remember thinking, wow, this is one gutsy gal. Because when you come from Lewis County, it can be a little bit scary. Because she said both her name, her performing name, which was Tru Starlet, as well as her given name, Rikkey Outumuro. And then after her performance, I saw her family just flocked around her, just like as if she was Cher, or, just like a mega star, like Lady Gaga. And I thought, she is just making this real. She's bringing it home. She's going to be herself and make the world that much safer for everyone else. She could also be a little bit of a handful. And anybody that knows Rikkey knows that. Once she bought this kind of something she called me about, saying, "I got this really awesome 3-wheeler bike, and me and Brian want to be in the parade. But we need a little bit of help from you, Anna. You know how to fix things, right? You're a lesbian." I said, "Sure." I came over to her house, and I was expecting to see like one of those fancy delivery bikes that they have like in New York or Chicago. And I saw this rusting Hulk that the wheels didn't turn, the pedals didn't turn, and I thought, the parade's in 3 days. What are we gonna do? And I called in every favor I had with every bicycle mechanic, and I got it fixed and moving. I spray painted most of it gold, and then she had made a leather print pillow for it, and she and Brian wheeled their way all the way down the parade route, and it just was incredible. And and she brought that kind of like, "I'm going to do it. I don't care how crazy it is. I don't care if the wheels are rusty, frozen shut. I'm just going to make it happen." Another short story about her bravery: she was the very first Miss Gay Lewis County, which people like me, and a lot of folks consider me to be pretty fearless. I was one of the first really out people in Thurston County up here in Olympia. One of the first people to have my face in the Olympian, which always felt like, oh my God, I have a wanted poster now. But she was Miss Gay Lewis County in 2008. And that might not seem that long ago to people in a larger community like Olympia. But if you look down there, you knew that was like risking your life. But that was the kind of person that she was. She was a performer. She was a friend. She was a warrior. She wanted this place to be safer for all kinds of folks, you know, however they identified, whatever their sexual orientation. And she wanted to make sure that we all looked fabulous doing it. You know, she was one of the many people who used to say, you know, Annie, you got to do something with my hair. You know, you got to do something with that hair. It's like, what? And it's like, well, you know, I'm a lesbian. We don't do stuff with our hair. What are you talking about? But I think that's another thing that binds a lot of people. You know that she used to do your hair, sometimes with, you know, real pain in her hands because she had arthritis. But she was an amazing, amazing young woman whose life was cut short far too soon. I really hope that the criminal justice system does what it ought to do. Our community has not always had good success with that, so we're asking people's support for the family because not only did they lose a family member, they have to find a way to bury Rickey. That costs a lot. We have a GoFundMe link on our Facebook page, and we would really appreciate any donation, large or small. So again, I just want to close by saying, just remember the folks that are around here. It might not be 5,000 people. It might not be the 200 that they gathered in Centralia. So I just want to note that Centralia beat out Olympia. But these are the people who will support you. They will defend you. They will come by your side. They will make sure that you know you are supported. Because as we go forward, there will be times when we don't feel that. So thank you very much for coming. And I would like to introduce Rickey's brother, Joe Outumuro.
Thanks, Anna. I'm not always the best public speaker, but I just wanted to start by thanking everybody for coming out here and supporting Rickey. And, you know, I guess you guys can probably imagine the colorful child that I had. Playing Barbies and having her dress me up, sometimes against my will. But my sister was an amazing person. She was a trailblazer. You know, she set an example for a lot of people who may have been struggling about coming out and being exactly who they are inside. And I would just always look up to my sister because she was fierce, she was courageous, and I'm never going to be the same after this. And I just want to thank you guys for coming. So, thank you.
Next, I think I'm introducing Hope Schumacher. So I want to make sure she's actually walking this way. Hope is Rickey's mom, who I just have to say how amazing it was to meet her way back when Rickey was 8, because as somebody that loved children, I never had any biological kids, but I helped her raise dozens. And there were people who thought I was doing it to sexually prey on little girls or, you know, children of all gender identities. And Hope walked up to me, didn't know her at all, and said, "Thank you so much, both you and Lisa, for being role models for my Rickey. I want Rickey to know that she can grow up and find love and find happiness and get a job, just like you." So here's Hope.
Hi, as she said, I'm Rickey's mom, and I just wanted to step up and say a few words, even though I'm struggling today. Rickey was my firstborn. I was 15, and it was the most wonderful, beautiful gift ever. And I always we would joke around because I was a mother at 15 and a half, and we kind of grew up together, you know. We learned together, we grew up together. And as you can imagine, having a child back then, and that, you know, that lived her life as a female, there was never any other thing with Rickey. It came from childhood. It was there. We went to counseling. We tried to figure out this was Rickey, and Rickey was just always Rickey. There was no male, no female. She was Rickey. Beautiful Rickey, and she's touched many, many hearts, many, many souls. Today she would be the person that I would go to, that I would be, and she's not there, but she is still with me. I know that, but it's just going to be really difficult going forward. But she did touch a lot of people. I've received many emails and stories and all the lives she touched, and I'm so very proud of her. And I've always been very proud of her. And we've lost a wonderful person for our community, for our family. And I just want to say she really loved her Pride family and her Pride friends. They have always been so supportive, as they are being right now. And so as our family, we just want to say thank you to everybody. And there will be funeral information coming forth. We're trying to do everything we can as best as we can, as quickly as we can, but it's been really hard. So I just wanted to say thank you to everybody out there, and yeah, thank you so much.
Next, I would like to introduce Annie, who met Rikkey years ago and found great inspiration and support. Annie?
Thank you. Again, my name is Annie, and I also go by Untitled. My stage name is for Isaac. I knew Rikkey. Her mother was our neighbor in Centralia, and Rikkey was always there as I was growing up. And it was so funny because there was times where she would come over and ask just to babysit me so she could dress me up as her little Selena. And I loved it. Her and I would always dress up and play Selena and play Selena's music. And over time, I just watched her grow into an amazing person. And once I got the news about Rikkey, the only thing I could think about was the day that she asked me to use my dress I used for my quinceañera. And that is when she was crowned our very first Miss King County. And I said, yes, absolutely. And then as she's trying on the dress to make sure everything fit right, she asked me another question. Will you please walk with me in the 4th of July parade? I was so honored to be able to do that with her. And just to see the smile on her face as I was fixing the dress on the car, she turned around and got the perfect picture that she used on her profile. And she was so happy, and she always told me, don't be afraid of who you are. You know where we come from. We come from a town that is running against us. Don't be afraid of it. And once Rikkey got out of Lewis County and came to Olympia, she reached out to me again and said, I see you. Don't be down there. You're gonna grow. And it's a hard moment. It really is. When I told her I was involved with the community up in Tacoma, I told her I was actually going to perform in drag because I'm a bio queen now, thanks to Rikkey. I couldn't have done it without her. It was one of those things that made me so proud, and I was so nervous about what I should perform. And she said, you already know what to perform because you were my little Selena. So I did her favorite song that we always did because she made my costume for it once when I was little. And I did Bitty Bitty Bum Bum by Selena. I performed it. And from there, I was so happy. She told me how proud she was of me. And without her here, I don't know what I'm going to do next. But I'm going to pursue ongoing and trying to change as many lives as she did. Because I know if you don't push it, you're not going to go. You're just going to be there. And she helped push me. And I know, even though she's not here, she's still looking down and she's smiling. And she's protecting all of us and telling every one of us that we can do it. And there's no reason to be afraid of it. It doesn't matter if they don't like us. It doesn't matter if they don't like change, because that's what they need. Just like in our justice system, we need that change, and we all need to pull together to make that change happen. I just wish we were all here under different circumstances. Thank you.
Next, I'd like to introduce another good friend of Rickey's, Richie. I was afraid I was going to reverse the names. Here's Richie.
Hello, everyone. It's kind of hard for me. I moved to Lewis County in 2001, and I met Rickey. She was one of the first people that I met in Lewis County, and she knew that I was struggling with coming out, and she befriended me. She took me under her wing, and she taught me to be strong and not be afraid. And she was really, really strong person, really good person, huge heart. She's just a really bright star for everyone. She lit our paths, you know, for a lot of people. And she was so strong. And I remember when she did a drag show over here at the Urban Onion, and we all went with her, and she's like, "You got to help me, Richie. I'm really nervous." And I'm like, "Can't be nervous." And she's like, "But I am." I said, "Okay, you can't be nervous, but you still got to do it." And she's like, "Okay, then help me lace up my stilettos." So I just always, you know, think about that, you know, and she would want us to be strong, and she would want us to be fearless like her, and, you know, do what we can to help other people. That's who she was, you know, so we got to keep that alive. Just wanted to share that with everyone. Thank you.
Well, looking around the crowd, it seems like we don't have any scary, freaky people that we're going to grab the microphone and say terrible things. So I'd like to open it up for a few more friends to speak. And just to share a little bit, those of us who are older LGBTQ people know what it was like to do memorials and funerals in the before times. It used to be that when we lost people, we lost a lot of people to AIDS. We lost people to violence. We lost people to cancer. But when we lost our loved ones, we would go to the first funeral that was the straight funeral with the family and friends. We would listen to people say nice things, but it was all about everything except who they really were. And then we would all go to the closest gay bar, and we would have the real funeral. And for us here in Olympia, that was the Urban Onion. And we would basically one after another get up and talk about what the person had meant to us, how they had inspired us, how much we loved them. And it was those words and that funeral that really allowed us to go on and to grieve. I am so glad that younger people are not going to be dealing with that, or at least people that are in areas like we are, at least to the best of my knowledge in Lewis County and in Grays Harbor County, but definitely in Thurston County, we can finally acknowledge the entirety of who someone is and grieve them. So with that, if anyone would like to get up, these are the times that we talk about the people who have inspired us to be who we are and who will always be in our hearts. So I think we have somebody here.
Hello, I am Emerissa. I first met Rickey at the Central College GSA, and I was still trying to figure out what exactly what trans meant to me. Through her just being herself, I was able to just let me be me without having to second guess my actions, my speech, or whatever. Just be myself. And watching her do a couple of drag shows, coming over to her place when she lived in Centralia, next to one of the schools. She did my hair a couple of times, and it was just a lot of fun, things I could not experience growing up as the opposite transgender. And I'll always just be proud and be open, just like she was, no matter how I present, and I'll never hide. I mean, to work, even though everyone knows me as female, they'll see me with a full facial hair just because I don't give a damn about shaving that week. And I know for a fact if I haven't met her, I would still be trying to tear my face to shreds, shaving every day. And she's, like I said to everyone here, one of the best inspirations we all could have.
Thank you.
Would anybody else like to come up and say a few words? No, especially for those of you who are younger, this is practice. When you get to my age, you will have gone through quite a few of these for, all parts of your extended family. But sharing those words in a group, that's how we grieve as a community. Would anybody else like to come up and say a few words? If you would like to donate today and you have cash or a check, Hope with the beautiful blonde hair right here that Rikkey probably did. She did, is right here. If you have cash, the Capital City Pride website or the Capital City Pride Facebook page has a fundraising link, and you can click through that and donate online. But any other part of her community, her family, Penny. As she walks up, this is an old friend of mine, Penny, who's probably been to as many of these events as I have. And I don't know that it makes it easier that they're more public now, but it's a heck of a lot better than when you had to hide.
I live in Olympia, but I taught at Centralia College for 3 years. And Rikkey was one of my students. And I was an advisor to the Gay Straight Alliance at the college for many years. And not just as a student, but as a community member, she took part in that group. And she did things that, to this day, I'm just stunned by. One, there was never a Miss Lewis County before Rikkey. She made it up. And I wasn't with GSA then, it was a year before, but she dressed up, and so did, I don't know if Amarissa was with GSA then, dressed up, and they all paraded downtown in the middle of the day in Centralia. And my colleagues who were advising the group were scared to death. One was a lesbian, and one was a Black woman. And they said, we're afraid someone will shoot us, But the dean of students said, you get out there with those students. There are students who have to be there. And they did. And it was startling. The other thing she did is she came to the group later on and said the police were harassing me. And you need to help me. And I didn't know how to help. And I was sitting in my office, and another student came to my door who was a local student, said the police are harassing me too. They stop me all the time. And so we decided as GSA to pull together a panel of people that were at the college, Black students, Hispanic students, gay students, trans students, people on the staff who were Koreans, and invite the police to hear our stories. And they came. I was stunned. And I have to say, the police have changed since then. I mean, they brought pizzas to the Black Lives Matter protest down there last year and have gone through diversity training. And Centralia now has a rainbow program on all the storefronts. You can go there for safety. But Rikkey started it. And I learned more that day than I learned my whole life when that panel happened. And so did other people. I mean, I learned things about people I'd known for years, what they had been through. So she did all that, and we should all be more like her. Thank you.
Thank you.
Would anyone else? Would anyone else like to step forward and share a few words, share a story? I can tell you that more than letting something out of your own heart, it helps to soothe the rest of our hearts, to grieve together, to remember together, to keep Rikkey's alive. In my cultural tradition, Jews, we don't say rest in peace. We say may their memory be a blessing. I've changed that up to be may their memory be an inspiration, because the people who have influenced me to be the best person I know how. So I am pretty sure there's a few more stories like that out there. People who have either performed with Rikkey, grew up with Rikkey, had their hair done by Rikkey. Well, I'd like to introduce Vivian. Vivian is Lisa Blazer's granddaughter. And I'm going to make her cry right off the bat here by saying, Rikkey was the person who called me in the middle of the night to tell me that Lisa had died. Lisa was the old girlfriend that whose daughter, Malin, Vivian's mom. Rikkey and Malin used to play together all the time. It was Rikkey who called me in the middle of the night to say that Lisa had died during that terrible heat wave, which is hard on older people like us. And it was Malin who called me to say that Rikkey had died. So I would like to introduce Vivian.
Hi. So growing up, Rikkey was one of the only people I was ever able to go to talk about the domestic violence that I myself was experiencing from my stepdad. And I think she was probably the one person who ever made me feel like I was strong enough to get through that. And it's sad to know that we lost her, something that the whole time she was inspiring me to be able to get through myself. But she was also the person who inspired me to be able to come out to everybody as bisexual and feel proud of who I am and not be scared. I mean, even just like a month ago, we were talking about getting together in honor of my grandma to have lunch together where she really enjoyed going. So I know when my mom comes down to visit next, we are planning to go get lunch there for both of them, since I wasn't able to go with Rikkey. But she was one of my mom's best friends. We called her Auntie Rikkey. Like, my mom doesn't really have any siblings, so she's one of the closest things that she had to that. So I really loved her, and I still do. And I hope I can live doing things that would make her and my grandma proud. So thank you.
Thank you. Would anybody else like to come forward and share some memories? Share your love? How about if we just take a few moments of quiet reflection? Well, I have a few words of closing. I don't know if you have words of closing that you'd like to share. Jada's was the person who wanted to gather people together to do this. Did you have some closing comments you wanted to share? I wanted to thank Hope Alliance, which is a domestic violence center that is based in Lewis County. I'd like to invite everybody to come and take one of these little cups, and you'll have information about Hope Alliance. You'll also have one of these fabulous multicolor LED lights that you can click on and put above your kitchen sink when you're doing the dishes to remember Rickey by. But it is so amazing that there is an organization that responds to a domestic violence murder of a transgender woman in our state. And they responded immediately without hesitation. Probably a dozen of them showed up at the arraignment. They put on the most amazing event in a beautiful little park in downtown Centralia a couple of nights ago. And they have pledged to be with Hope and Joe every step of the way, to make sure that justice for Rickey is found, and not to treat her like a less than human being as the LGBTQ community is so used to. But if you are interested in taking one of these, if you're interested in volunteering or supporting, especially for those of you from Lewis County, these folks rock, and they will make sure that their services are available to people without discrimination on the basis of their gender identity or their sexual orientation. So last fall, I don't know if anybody's got a last burst of courage. It's really not hard. People don't believe this, but I was terribly shy as a kid and as a young adult. And I just pushed myself in towards the microphone because I was tired of, no disrespect here, but I was tired of all the dudes hogging all the airtime. That was really important for a female identified person, an LGBTQ identified person to get up there and speak. So last call. Yes.
I'll like all of us, just real quickly, on the count of three, to say, we love you, Rickey. Yeah.
Yeah.
So 1, 2, 3. We love you, Rickey.
Because you're so fabulous. Well, thank you all for gathering. Like I said, please do help yourself to one of these LED candles and cups. Stay and mingle and talk if you'd like. Please respect people who are wearing masks and trying to stay 6 feet apart for their safety. And thank you all. Let's stick together. My mother always said, my dear departed mother, stick together. You're safer when there's more of you. Thank you, folks. Bye-bye.
Yeah, I'll talk to you guys in a minute. He's one like there. The last 5
I wouldn't have done this. I started working out with you.
Oh, wow.
She was the one that encouraged me to go on stage and do it. She told me to. She said I didn't have a choice. What out today?
Itself has a lot of supporters.
So she's ready when she she looks so much like this. But she was Halloween as well, and she was doing so, you know, she was also creative and used this because of my car with a blow. What's her thing?
That was just. No, show me that one.
Oh, thank you, Burkos. No problem.
She
I'll be back to look
loved
through the
doing
questions in just a second.
Loved
Still
doing
working.
So I need to.
I gotta go. I love you.
Oh my God.
I face my eyes. I did not predict that I met 4 years ago.
I know. My hair turned.
I'm lucky I
Yeah. Whenever you're ready.
Okay.
I never looked
One last time.
Get out of the fire. Blow it out.
my shoes are wet. I had to wet. Oh, really? I mean, you're familiar with the area. You know where Fort State is? Yeah. I don't know. Check it out. I'm back to work. Very, very good. Try to go back. I know, but so I don't know. So it's like, so I'm someone's toilet was I had to try to make it sure I could plug your toilet, you know, like yeah, you don't have to wash this way. I don't know.
Okay. So Borfos mentioned, let me see if I can put it on the screen. The Trans Day Remembrance is November 20th. Events are being held in Seattle and Tacoma. I'll be speaking at the Tacoma Trans Day of Remembrance, and that's going to be at the Tacoma, the Washington State Historical Society, I believe. Yeah, Borfos put on the screen the link to find out more about these Trans Day of Remembrance events. Let's see. Yeah. I only brought 10 copies of the article. You can watch it, look at it at spn.org. But yeah, because I had to bring it from Seattle, so I'm gonna grab 10. I would say I would, but then, I'm so busy. Okay. Yeah. Let's see. Email me. Well, yeah. Give me your information.
What's your phone number?
Well, I'm online. Online right now. I'll type it in. Yeah, I'm like, I don't want to give my personal phone number to all you folks at home. Some people that watch are not so supportive.
She's my girlfriend.
Oh my God, yeah.
I'm the main suspect. There are many people that worry about.
Oh yeah.
Me, I'm not on there.
Oh yeah.
I take medication it's been a long thing.
Yeah.
Ricky's trying to keep me up.
Oh, that's so nice of her. What was your name again? Oh, yeah, it's so nice of her to like care about you so much. That's what I'm hearing a lot from the people I interview.
Or
Yeah.
What's your name?
Renee.
R-E-N-E-E.
Reee. And then Rickety. Raketty. And search. Yeah, if you I'll type in my number. I just don't want to say it out loud. Because I don't want some people having it.
Her name's right. Job Packers. I have Parkinson's, so I'm shaking.
Oh yeah.
That's why I'd rather you have the phone hearing hands. Because I shake too much. Here, you hold it.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm too shaky.
Yeah, I see you dropped it.
Yeah, I dropped it a lot of times. It doesn't work very good sometimes. Okay, I think you
So
got
it should be in your contacts, yeah.
Okay.
Check Renee. Renee.
Yes, I will.
And then send me a text with your address. And then I'll see about sending you a copy.
Okay. It still says your name.
Okay, good. I show up. Hey, I would like one. Yep. So just send me a text with your address.
Okay.
Okay. Sorry about that, folks.
It's over.
So Juniper, who's our YouTube mod, said emotionally this feels like the vigil for summer all over again. Absolutely. We've lost one too many lives of transgender non-binary individuals over the last couple years for sure. And this year alone, I think we've lost 45 or more trans and non-binary individuals across the United States. It is so tragic, and I'm just getting sick and tired of hearing about it and writing about it, honestly. I remember when I first started as a journalist, I wrote about a lot of hate crimes against, lesbian, gay, bisexual individuals. But, it seems like it's okay for our politicians to bash, trans and non-binary individuals for political points. And this sends a dangerous message to people that it's okay to, devalue their lives. And that's ridiculous. So Borfos put a link to my story about, Rickey and her life, both her, performances here in Olympia, as well as her tragic death. It's really thorough, and unfortunately, I had to write it. We'd all rather have Rickey back for sure. Yeah, Juniper, I agree 100% as a transgender. Another one? Thank you so much. It's so pretty. So, as a transgender individual, it's really difficult to write about these stories because they hit home, obviously. Some of the struggles that they were talking about with her identifying, oh, thank you, Brian. With her identifying, as sort of a woman her whole life is something that I experienced myself. So many comments. Of course, Warfos, I'm more than happy to do it. Yeah, the Transgender Day of Remembrance of Tacoma will be at the Washington Historical Society in the auditorium. I'll be speaking at the event, as will a lot of other prominent trans folks, and of course our allies. And I know that one of the families who recently lost a loved one will be there as well, but I don't know if I'm allowed to say too much about it. Orphos put the address for the Washington Historical Society. It'll be at 1911 Pacific Avenue, Tacoma, Washington, 98402. Again, that's Washington Historical Society, 1911 Pacific Avenue, Tacoma, Washington, 98402, and that'll be November 20th. And as Borfos mentioned, it'll be between 6 and 8 p.m. on November 20th. Yes, rest in power, Rickey, 100%. Too many lives of transgender and non-binary folks are being stolen for political points, 100%. And it's sick and disgusting. And I call upon, their decency to recognize the value of all lives, including folks who just happen to be transgender. They literally just go to work, raise their family, live their lives, and we don't deserve to worry about being the victim of, murder or attack, just because of who we are. So I think, let me know if there's any final questions. But I'm going to put my link tree on here so folks can look me up, see the other content that I've created, read through my articles. I've linked them, including this article, in my link tree. So you'll be able to go to my link tree and see the link to this article about Rickey and about Tru Starlet, her life, about what happened, and interviewed some of her friends and family, which is the hardest part. You heard from many of them here today. But she was loved by so many people. I mean, it was hard to pick who to talk to because so many people wanted to offer their memories, and to be able to consolidate that into an article was very difficult because there were just so many people who wanted to talk to me and provide comment. Okay, so my YouTube mod says no more questions from us. So I'm going to go ahead and close the live stream. Thank you, everyone, for watching. This was a tragic event, the loss of Rickey, Tru Starlet, for this community, obviously for those in Central as well. Our killer, I'm not going to say his name, he doesn't need attention. He is in jail with no bail at this moment, but there is a hearing coming up on the 18th. His attorney has said that he was concerned about the perpetrator's mental health. So there will be a mental health evaluation held here in Tacoma and Lakewood. And once that's done, the judge will, have a hearing on the 18th to hear about the perpetrator's competency to stand trial. And obviously, these, the case against him is pretty, pretty clear cut. But, allegedly these crimes have been committed by him. I have to say that for legal reasons. So obviously I'll be following this case. The SGN, the Seattle Gay News, SGN.org will be writing more articles about the status of this case, and we'll be following it through to the end. Again, thank you everyone for tuning in tonight, and I wish you all the best. Stay safe, and until next time, this is the Renee Reports.